right now. So, yeah. Hey, everybody. Basically, what we're doing here is something a little bit different. Instead of our usual big fancy podcast where Jordan comes in and goes, "Hey,
Hold,
you
hold
beautiful
on, hold
people."
on, hold on, hold on. We're not going to even address the fact that we've been gone for like
Yeah.
2 years.
I think we did a podcast for E3 last year, maybe? So, something like that. Um, well, me and Shane haven't been doing anything. Jordan
Yeah,
has with his League of Ridiculous conversation people. So you guys should, of course, check that out. As part of that, we decided literally earlier today that we were going to start doing a random thing with PCP again. Maybe do an actual podcast. I'm not going to make any
maybe.
promises on that. But at least for now, at least for this week, have me come on and do my Andy Rooney impression
Yep.
where I sit here and I just ramble basically
Just
about whatever is pushing my buttons this
look,
week.
look at the title, people. It literally says Chattin with Cody.
Yeah,
You're chatting with
and
Cody.
Shane too.
I'm not here. Just pretend I'm not here.
And of course, the reason we wanted to do this is because if you know me in any capacity or you've ever been on our Discord, I'm constantly rambling about random crap. And I figured, why not make a podcast out of it and share my random ramblings with everybody? Because that sounds like a fantastic idea. So, and of course, we have a fantastic topic this week. Everyone who's been paying attention to STONKS, I'm not going to use stock market because it's STONKS and the internet rules everything now, apparently. So, it's down to stock market. Uh, Things have been crazy the last few days with this little thing called GameStop and their stock. Uh, it's basically gone from being worth nothing to I don't want to say I don't know exactly when the rankings are, but it's like pretty high up there in value. I think it's gone up like a couple thousand percentage points since the last few days. And why is that? Is basically what we want to talk about. What is the ramifications of this? Of course, I don't know. This is basically one clueless person to somebody who is even more clueless type of conversation. I've been doing research and things like that, but again, I'm no expert in this. I'm, as the people at Wall Street Bets would say, I'm not a uh, stock investor, broker, or anything like that. Just some guy who's been sitting back enjoying all the memes that have been coming out of this and kind of wanting to just talk about it more in depth. Because I know a couple of people who've been like, what is this all? What is this? What is this stuff? What is GME? What is stock markets? Why is the internet taking over everything?" Well, we're gonna get into that. So of course, I'm kind of look at it as like a who, what, where, when, how type of thing. So of course, what's the what? Basically, what's going on is the stock market, as we know it, is kind of being everything we've known is kind of getting thrown out the window right now. The traditional dynamic of rich people control everything and tell us what to do is kind of getting reversed because a bunch of random, as they would say in their own community,
Don't,
I'm using their terms,
don't.
the R word, um, just deciding that they now rule everything and they make the decisions and kind of turning the tables on those exact rich people and hedge funds and things like that make all the decisions. So what basically happened is you've got the who. You have the stock market as we know it, and all the major stockbrokers, hedge funds, things like that. The main villain of the story, if you will, Milton Financial. They were the big group that was involved in it, and they're on one side, the traditional stock market people, right? And then you have GameStop in the middle because it's their stock. But really, they don't matter really. Their stock doesn't really matter. This could be anyone's stock. It just kind of lined up perfectly that it was GameStop. Um, and then on the other side, you have the internet, mainly a subreddit here, as you can see, Wall Street Bets. This basically started out as a joke for the most part. It's been just kind of a bunch of crazy people making crazy bets on things over the years, kind of showing, hey, I YOLO'd on this stock and I got $3 million, woo! And then somebody also posts losing $3 million, and it's just been a random place for people to post crazy bets and things like that. Wall Street Bets, why it's called that. It's kind of like the if 4chan had a stock market, this would be it type of thing. Yeah, almost 4 million. Yeah, it's been blowing up the last few days as they kind of take over. Um, long and short of it is, a couple days, I think it was actually almost like a year ago is when it started. Some people here on Wall Street Bets noticed that the GameStop stock was being shorted. Basically, a bunch of rich people, hedge funds, things like that, like Milton Financial, decided GameStop's worthless. You know, they don't have any future. They're gonna fail. They, what, and it made sense at the time if you think about it. I mean, this was before the consoles came out, sure, but even with the consoles out, GameStop has been losing money for a very long time. They're in a rough position where the video game industry is going more and more digital, and they're a brick and mortar store. It's hard to make money. So the big wigs out there said GameStop's worthless. They're going to continue to be worthless. Let's make a bet basically on their misfortune. We're going to say that their stock, we're going to do what's called a short basically. And they bet that their stock is going to continue to tumble. And at a certain date in the future, it's going to be worth, X price, right? And they were so sure of this that they decided to basically take out loans, if you will, in a sense, where even if they don't own the stock, they're basically borrowing the stock from other people who own stocks. And they would buy it at one price, very, very cheap. And then at a certain point in the future, they would have to pay back whoever they, essentially borrowed the stock from at whatever that price was in the future. Now, this basically would be a great windfall for them if their bet was true that the stock was going to continue to go down, which was the plan until the internet got involved. A few months back, one of the guys there on the forum, I think, what's his name? Hugh. What's the big guy's name? I cannot remember his name right now. Anyways, one of the guys here and a couple other guys here on the subreddit basically noticed that all these big companies and rich people were shorting the stock. And not just shorting it a little bit, like shorting it crazy. I think it was something like they not only took out essentially loans on the full amount of stock that existed, but even more stock, like 130%.
Yeah, they took
Like,
way more
that's
than
the
there
part
was actually available.
Yeah, that's the part where I'm still not sure how that works. How you can buy stock that's doesn't even exist. This is where this whole kind of situation really puts a spotlight on how made up the rules seem for the stock market. But that's how big this bet was. I mean, they were really just putting it all in type of situation because it seemed like a sure bet. What the hell could GameStop possibly do to turn themselves around? And then a couple months back, people on Reddit noticed that they were really shorting the stock, so they're like, well, we can bet against it. We can basically say, if we buy the stock and we spread information about it and things like that, talk about it, get other people to buy it, the stock price will go up, and it'll screw these guys over. And at the beginning, it wasn't really even really about making money necessarily on their own part, as so much as just kind of screwing over the rich people type of thing, kind of getting back David versus Goliath, getting back at the people who've kind of been crapping on us for a while, especially these last few months with coronavirus. So then things really got out of hand a couple months back when the CEO of Chewy, the pet food and other sort of pet related items website, got involved. He decided to buy a sizable chunk of stock there and say, he's kind of taking over in a sense, and basically decided GameStop's actually worth something. And, he wants to kind of revitalize the company, so on and so forth, make it worth something again, turn it more digital. But in the grand scheme of things, that's not super important. That's really just kind of to show that this isn't entirely a situation of people just meme trading as CNBC and so forth have made it out to seem. There is a plan in state to try and turn things around for them. but that basically, when a rich guy comes in and basically decides GameStop's worth something, that added a lot of fuel to the fire, because now there was somebody betting against all of these other people that were saying GameStop was going to be worthless. So then the ball really got rolling here, right? Wall Street Bets saw it. They started talking about it more. More people were getting involved in the plan. Things really blew up in the last week or so, though, because there was some posts made here on the subreddit really showing, really doing due diligence, really showing just how much potential there was here, because these companies had shorted the stock to such an insane level, almost, I don't want to say never seen before, probably one of the most insane levels of shorting ever imagined, and basically decided if we all get together, all of a sudden I can hear myself. Oh, it's because okay, for some reason, the other window with the stream in it, I'm paused, whatever. So basically, Reddit got together and decided if we all, basically, they decided if they all act like a hedge broker, hedge fund, stock market type of thing, pool all their money together, all invest in GameStop, they could totally change things around, totally screw over the big guys. And that's what they've been doing. They've been putting tons and tons and tons of money here into the situation. And it's kind of become a self-fulfilling prophecy, because the way the stock shorts work is you take your money and you say, I'm going to borrow your stock for now at this price when it was worth nothing. And then in the future, I'll pay you back, essentially, give you your stock back, whatever the price is at that point, right? And so they all bought the stocks for basically pennies, right? Then once Reddit comes in, and other big people like the Chewy guy come in, start investing money into it, the stock price starts going up. And these companies start going, uh-oh, you're not supposed to be worth anything. What's going on? So some of them decide to then cash out. I think I hear your speakers. Yeah. So basically, it kind of snowballed here, right? And, once some people who had done the shorts were like, whoa, the price is getting too high for me, I'm going to cash out, I'm going to pay the difference. They're losing money, but that, of course, means that they have to buy the stock, which makes the stock continue to rise. And then other people are investing too. So the stock rises even more. And then other people get involved. And other people in their shorts going, well, now the stock's worth $20 when it was $10 yesterday. Now the stock's worth $20. I'm going to cash out, which means I have to buy stock, which means stock price goes up again. And then other people see that going up, and it's just gotten crazier and crazier and crazier. And like every day the stock goes up like, a couple hundred percentage points. I need to look and see what it,
it has to be up to like 400 at this point, right?
Yeah, it closed today at $347, which is up almost $200. Yeah, up almost $200 today alone. Now it's gone back and forth a lot as people cash in, cash out, etc., back and forth. But the grant, as you can see basically here with the chart, it's just kind of jumping all over the place. But for the most part, where this really kicked off 5 days ago, I mean, boom, giant jumps. And if you, this is just today how much the stock has gotten crazy, right? Then you click here, you see the last 5 days. This is when it kicked off on the 27th. All right, the stock was worth about $82 here, about $75, $80 right here on the 26th, right at 3:30 p.m. late afternoon our time. It was worth about $80. Then the next morning, it's already up to $351.
I keep forgetting to turn my mic back on. Thanks, Jordan.
Oh,
appreciate it.
He's in here. So, just look at this. This is just the difference in the last 5 days, right? Insane. And you go back, you look at a month, look at that. It just keeps going up. It's the 6-month chart, right? It was worth nothing. You could see why they all shorted it. It was worth $6 back in September. It was worthless, right? You could see why they go, okay, we're going to short this. We're going to make the bet that it's going to continue to be worthless, and it's going to be even more worthless. It made sense. Nobody could have predicted a bunch of crazy people on the internet, on Reddit, would have just decided, no, we're going to say it's worth something and change everything. Completely
and
throw out all the fundamentals of the stock market here.
just so everybody on the stream understands how ridiculous this is at this point, you have the press secretary for the president saying that they're paying attention to the situation and monitoring it, which means the Treasury Secretary is watching Reddit, of all places.
The SEC is probably, I think they've talked about, like, the SEC is actively on this crazy subreddit that until a month ago was just memes, basically.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I think this photo that I think I started out with, basically, the year's 2033, Wall Street Bets is now the largest hedge fund on earth. Analysts scour Reddit for the hottest memes. Stocks are only going up. Life is great. It's none of this makes any sense.
Nope.
Or as this joke I saw here, I really liked. We're now the biggest fund, and news is now the biggest intelligence agency due to our excellent work with capturing the Boston Bombers. Which, if you remember, Reddit was sure we did it, guys. We cut the Boston Bombers. It wasn't them at all. The Reddit got in a lot of hot water for picking the completely wrong people out as being the Boston Bombers. So I like that joke. But even if you don't pay attention to this stuff money wise, like, I don't have anything invested myself. I've loved it just for the constant memes coming out of this, and posts like this. And I just love the terminology. I mean, look at this. Back to refueling the spaceship, rocket, diamond hands. I mean, I live on Reddit, and I even have trouble kind of following some of this stuff. If you're these people like the stockbrokers and CNBC and
me,
Janet Yelton, the Treasury Secretary, whose job is now to check this, you go, what the hell is going on? Is this even English? Like, what is going, and it's just, so come on, autists. I mean, they love to call themselves autists. The R word. It's craziness. It's literally like if 4chan just decided we're going to take over the stock market, right?
And the thing is, let's just get this out there that if 4chan took over the stock market, it would be a lot worse.
Yeah, this is like the light version of 4chan, basically. And deep fucking value. That's the guy. Basically, everybody's following him. Every day he posts a breakdown of what moves he's made, and he pretty much is holding every day. And so if you look at one of his posts, it's I need to see if I can find his daily update. If you look at one of his posts, it's just, if deep fucking value is holding, I'm holding, diamond hands, type of thing. Everybody's following this guy. And you're getting, shout outs about him. Like I said, this White House press secretary, every financial TV station, Fox News, CNN, they're all talking about this. They're all losing their minds. Jim Cramer, I think, is going to have a heart attack at any moment. The man is always so angry and confused every day.
Yep.
It's madness, because none of this makes sense. It really, in the grand scheme of things, it's so completely nonsensical and unrelated to everything that the stock market, all the fundamentals, they say, of the stock market and how it's supposed to work. Because again, this should have been a sure bet. And there's not really anything intrinsically with GameStop that makes it worth money. It's worth something now. They've got a plan in place where they can maybe get things back, right? It's not worthless. So in the grand scheme of things, even if Wall Street Bets and so forth hadn't gotten involved, those shorts probably would have been a bad financial decision, because they were really investing that it was going to be worth absolutely nothing and die. They were basically betting their money on people's misfortune, that everyone was going to lose their jobs and the company was going to die.
Yeah.
Which doesn't, even in the worst forecast right now, that doesn't seem relevant. So even without that, but now this has just been compounded 100,000 times over by Wall Street Bets getting involved. And it's essentially, if this all plays out and works the way they believe it is, and frankly, the way the stock market brokers and so forth see it playing out because of the way they're whining and crying so much about it, you could be looking at the greatest financial, the greatest wealth transfer in decades, if not ever. Basically, you've got people like Deep Fucking Value, who I think he invested something like $5,000 or something like that. Maybe it was even $500 to start out with.
Really?
And now
5,000?
if his all his stock and so forth was cashed out, because of course with the stock market you can't cash everything out at the same moment. You're never going to get the full value of stuff.
Nope.
So when somebody's worth so much money, they're not really worth that much, but theoretically he's now worth about $50 million just in GameStop stock from $500 or whatever it was when he started. I mean,
Well, now they're moving on to like AMC and BlackBerry and all that other stuff, right?
yeah, well, that's the thing. Is basically once this can't go on forever theoretically. As much as they like the meme that the stock can only go up, we're gonna go to the moon, to Mars, $1,000, $10,000. Eventually, you're gonna reach the point where all these stockbrokers who had put their shorts in are
Yeah.
going to call it, because they just don't have. They have to keep basically paying interest on the loan as the price goes up. Now, they could make their money back in theory if they hold long enough for it to crash back down again. But you have to have an insane amount of capital to keep investing, to keep
Yeah.
your short in place long enough to ride out this storm. And that's basically the idea here: is can the collective will of the internet hold its shit together long enough and not sell the stock
To kick out the
long
stockbrokers.
to the point where all of these rich brokers will basically go bankrupt because they've had to pay the difference 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times over, basically. And then, of course, eventually sell all of their stock and make a windfall. But that's where things get a little crazy, because when the dam finally breaks and the shorts all are done, and
Which the
the stock
dam's gonna
stops
break what
skyrocketing,
by the end
it's
of this
going to
week?
go. Yeah, well, there's a lot of back and forth. I've been confused. A lot, the financial analysts are all saying Friday's the big day. You come here on Wall Street Bets, they're saying Friday has nothing. It's all bullshit from them. They're trying to get us to cash out early. It's a lot of tug and war back and forth here. No one's really for sure when it will end, and then that's all assuming you don't even get the government involved, because they're now freaking out, because if this you've created the situation where it's like everyone's like, wow, how can we trust our stockbrokers anymore if a bunch of fucking idiots from Reddit can change this? Like, everything's crazy. Can we trust anything? Which a lot of that is frankly overreacting. If you want to get down to why and how this happened, as much as Wall Street Bets wants to believe, they now run everything and memes about that, and as much as CNBC and the other financial TV stations and so forth are now crying about the fact that it seems like they do, this is kind of a once in a lifetime fluke situation. The only reason this is able to happen is because these groups like Milton invested such an insane amount into these shorts. They took a massive gamble on GameStop's misfortune.
Yep.
And now they have to pay the price, basically. As long as you don't go crazy and buy 130% of the stock again on another company, this won't really happen. Or short 130%, so forth. Again, I'm not a stockbroker. I'm probably screwing up some of these terms badly, but you get the idea. So, there's another couple of companies that are pretty heavily shorted right now, which, like you said, AMC is one of them that they're kind of talking about. Maybe we'll do them next. I've seen BlackBerry mentioned a lot, things like that. It's basically a lot of these companies that are in very dire straits, but they're still holding on. The stockbrokers are all just saying they're going to die, whereas Reddit's going, they only die if we let them die. If we
Yeah.
invest our money into them, fuck you, basically, is the idea here. But again, a lot of that relies on the idea too that once this rides out, people are going to want to keep doing this, or if they're all just going to sit there on their new $50 million odds and go, I'm cool. I don't want to, that was a once in a lifetime thing. That's not going to happen again. I'm not going to get involved in this type of thing. I really don't think the sky is falling the way everybody wants to make it out to seem. I think the main reason all the stockbrokers and stock related TV shows and things like that are making it out to be that way is because while it's not impossible for something like this to happen again, it could. And just the idea in general that like the plebs can come in here and shake things up and steal our hard-earned gains of us rich people who've done so much to get this wealth rubs them the wrong way. Massively rubs them the wrong way. It's not, you see these people on CNBC talking about, this, the stock market prices work on the fundamentals, and this doesn't have, this is bullshit. This doesn't have anything to do with the fundamentals. They like their rules. They like the way the things work because it makes them money. So even if this is only a one-time thing, even if this is an insane fluke, just the sheer idea that this could happen makes them afraid and shakes things up. It's kind of like one post I saw last night talked about it's in a way it's kind of like an Occupy Wall Street moment. I'd like to believe it will turn out better than Occupy Wall Street did, where it does actually lead to some change.
Yeah.
But at the moment, it seems like we're kind of at that end point of Occupy Wall Street, where everybody was afraid. The revolution. The people in power were afraid everything was going to come crashing down. When the reality is, things didn't really change all that much. In the meantime, some people are going to get really rich on Reddit. Some stockbrokers who were really rich now are going to be worth nothing. If you're Milton Financial, Milton is in a rough spot. They had to get basically a bailout, not from the government, but from other agencies who didn't want them to fall because that could start a chain reaction, gave them a big cash infusion the other day. And supposedly, it was reported they had basically got out of their shorts. And so if that's the case, that they're good now, they're not in danger. Again, this is where it comes back and forth. That's what's being reported. That's what they're saying. If you come to Reddit, they're saying the math just doesn't check out. There's no way they could have gotten all their shorts out of the way, and so on and so forth. But, it's really, no one really knows in the short term where this is going to go. In the long term, I don't think anything's going to really change all that much. In the short term, there's going to be a lot of people getting really rich and a lot of rich people getting really poor. And that's, I think, at the crux of it, especially when you get into the comments and things like that, the top level comments and things like that is, of course, all memes. Like, we're going to be rich. We're going to the moon. Everything's fantastic. We're destroying the rich. We're going to be rich. Everybody's going to buy yacht. Everybody, I always see posts. What color's your Lamborghini going to be? They're always making jokes about that. I think there was a joke about, I think the guy who owns Milton Financial has a mansion in Miami, and so people are talking about deep fucking value should use his money to buy Milton's mansion. That's the ultimate fucking, things like that. That's why I'm following
go buy Teslas,
right?
give
That's
Elon
why
Musk a...
yeah. I totally forgot about that too. That's why this has continued to get crazier and crazier too. Is like now, just the last 2 days, you've had some huge names getting involved, like fucking Elon Musk was even like tweeting about like STONKS, Wall Street bets, and once he I think, excuse my language, I'm quoting something here, right? I saw somebody on Reddit shared that tweet with the title, "I'm fucking coming." Because it was just like, if Elon Musk is getting involved, we're all going to be rich. It's going to keep going up, type of situation. And there's been a couple other big stockbroker related people that have been coming out to defend us, and saying like, hey, why are you so mad about this? Why is everybody so pissed off? Why is everyone crying so much? It's just the average Joe doing what you guys have been doing for years. And why is it? It's only a problem when me and Shane do it. When Elon Musk does it, it's whatever. When me and Shane do it, oh no, whoa, you're poor people. You're not supposed to be able to do that. All right.
How dare you have the balls to try and make more money than you're supposed to?
Right. Because at the end of the day, this is a form of market manipulation. Now,
Yeah.
whether the SEC will be able to prove and charge anyone with this, I don't think so. It's very murky. A lot of that
Let's
really
just say
relies.
that they will try to charge people, but they
I'm
probably won't
yeah,
succeed.
yeah, because the rules, of exactly. Again, I'm no legal scholar, so I can't say for certain. There was a post on Reddit really kind of breaking it down. You kind of have to have a pretty specific circumstance to really prove market manipulation. And the
Yeah.
fact that they have posted their due diligence posts here on Reddit, that they constantly make sure they put disclaimers that I'm not a stock, investor, I'm not an advisor, so on and so forth. You will always see tons of comments of people just saying, I like the stock, I like the stock, I like the stock, because that's them trying to cover themselves. I didn't buy this because everyone else is manipulating the market. I bought it because I like the stock. Wink, wink, wink. Situation. It's going to be extremely hard for anybody to really be convicted of actually creating this plan, because at the end of the day, too, it does have the potential to continue to make money. I mean, that's the thing. If this was all going on and GameStop had no plan whatsoever to continue to turn things around, right?
Yeah.
Then you might be able to make more of an argument for this. But I think that's kind of the thing that really saved their ass, if you will, is the fact that the Chewy CEO came in a few months back, and that's why things in part really kicked off, because now people are like, okay, they have a plan to turn things around. Now we have an excuse to invest money here, as opposed to just being YOLO. I'm just doing it because fuck the rich, I mean, the
Yeah.
unwritten wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's the only reason this is all happening. I mean, at the end of the day, when you get in the comments and you really read it and so on, the people talk about, as much as they're talking about, making money and being rich and wealth transfer and so on and so forth. I think the vast majority of people, at least from Wall Street bets that are involved in it, are just in it for the memes, just in it for the ride, just to be part of history, basically. If there was a post I think I've mentioned to you guys a few times, on PCP Discord, and I've seen it echoed several times now in the last couple of days. But I think it was this 4 or 5 days ago when this was really starting to blow up. There was a user who claimed to be like a single mom, young, 20s, not a lot of money, but she goes on Reddit a lot. She saw this blowing up. She kept seeing, because this has been on the front. These posts have been on the front page of Reddit like nonstop for the last week.
Yeah.
She saw it and she was like, should I put my, I've got $100 spare change. I really want to change my situation. Should I invest in this? Is this the magic get rich quick scheme? And I was very happy to see that. And immediately there was just like a wall of comments pointing down. They're like, no, don't. As much as we meme and like say, get your mom, your grandfather, your great grandfather, get everybody to buy Jimmy. They're very honest at the end of the day that most of them that have invested that money did so totally expecting that they would lose all of it. If they make if they do get rich, that's hell yeah. But at the end of the day, that $500 they spent on the stock or whatever was basically their ticket to the ride, just to see, just to be part of this, just to see what craziness happens. That $500. The guy was like, I think one of the guys who was planning it was basically said, I've spent about $1,000, which sounds like a lot, but to me that's nothing. And that was more to him. That was more than worth the price of admission just to see all this craziness go down. And that was even before the last day or two with the SEC. I mean, the fact that they've been able to get this much chaos to people who like chaos, I mean, it's like a drug right now, basically. They're getting their fix. And if they get rich off of it too, that's that bonus, but yeah. And then there's people like me who follow this, and I'm so invested and excited about it just because of the memes, the meme culture that has come out of this on Twitter, on Wall Street Bets itself, on all these other subreddits. Everybody just joking about things. None of this makes sense. I laugh my ass off whenever I go on there and I just see people diamond hands, rocket ship. If deep fucking value holds, I'm holding. Just this nonsensical, like, foreign language that has been created out of this has just been beautiful to behold. And that's the part that I just love, and plus, for a lot of reasons, a lot of situations. A lot of people that have got involved. It's like this. Like this post. It's kind of part of the motivation, of course, too, for a lot of these people is it's this David versus Goliath
Uh-oh.
situation. What's up?
News update that I
Oh,
apparently just got from my browser. Wall Street bets set to private.
oh, that was earlier. Yes.
Oh.
So I was gonna get to that. This is how crazy this is basically getting. Um, because people are pointing out the hypocrisy with things like this post here,
Hmm.
and making memes about it. There was, I guess, there's the Wall Street Bets subreddit, of course, which is what everybody's talking about. But they also had a Discord open, which basically a chat program. You should know what Discord is if you're watching this, because we're doing this through
Are we
Discord.
using Discord right now? Yes.
So they had a Discord chat channel basically where they've been discussing things as well too, because it's a lot easier to do that there than through Reddit's old style Reddit forum system. And I guess due to TOS violations, it got shut down a couple hours ago. And that could be myriad of different reasons. Probably had people coming in posting spam and stuff just to get them
Yeah.
in trouble type of situation. That's whenever you have a big public Discord server, that's a big worry that they all have. But when that shut down, that kind of got everybody worried that does that mean the man's finally coming for us type of situation. So they made the subreddit private for a bit. There was this post here actually where they were really going into it. Like it was mainly about, it wasn't like the end all type of thing. They're already back public. They were only down for like a couple hours, I think. It's basically them trying to make sure they've got all the bots out that are causing chaos. They had to talk with Reddit basically a little bit, because at the end of the day, Reddit and Discord are both private companies, and they might not want to might not want this, any attention that's coming to Wall Street Bets is coming to them as well. And they might be going, we don't really want the SEC looking around here, guys. So I think they sounded like they had to have a discussion with the Reddit admins, and probably are having a discussion with the Discord admins now about like, hey, can we keep doing things here? Do we need to look into other things? And then also, like this says, refresh the rules of the etiquette. As much as the memes and stuff have been funny, now that you've got nearly 4 million people there and growing. Uh, and you've got basically the world's financial analysts and news watching, some of the language and things and so on that I've mentioned
Yes.
may be a bit excessive. They're trying to not necessarily kill the culture, but tone it down a little bit, and so on and so forth. You know, so things like that, trying to just kind of get things a little bit more under control, and whatnot. But it's just been every day. I feel like every day it's getting crazier and crazier. If you told me a week ago I was gonna wake up to find out that the fucking president and his press secretary and the treasury secretary were actively monitoring Reddit because they had basically meme bombed the economy into potentially falling apart, I would have been like, actually, I was gonna say I wouldn't believe you, but this past year we've had, and this past month we've had, I'd be like,
Yeah.
fuck it, why not? It fits. It fits. I mean, it's,
Technically, it's the
that's
less.
not it's not the craziest thing that's happened this month.
Yeah.
Let's be real. It's not the craziest thing that's happened this month. So,
Because
um,
really, this is just like the more positive version of memeing a certain insurrection on the government.
yeah, I guess you could look at it that way. It's kind of like the right but the right people were pissed off
It's the
about.
left doing their thing against
Yeah,
the Wall Street people.
yeah. I mean, occupy Stock Street or
Occupy
whatever.
stonks.
Well, New York Stock Exchange or whatever. Yeah, I just there's so many amazing. I'm gonna see if I can just scroll through Discord here real quick if I can figure out how to get Discord open. Here we go. Yeah, I mean, you know, there it's just such an insane situation, and there's
Yeah.
nothing like this that's ever happened before. And I think there's definitely the thing that is worrisome for the future. I think isn't so much that this is going to make the stock market fall apart or the economy as we know it is gone
Mhm.
and so forth. I think the thing that's worrisome for the future is how much the government's going to get involved with trying to stop things like this, because it is potentially damaging. Let's be honest. People need to have some faith in the stock market, and if it's as
Well,
I think it was Hassan said. Hassan said, "Is like, how can you guys claim to be experts now if a bunch of fucking idiots from Reddit can come in and throw out everything you know? There's going to be a lot of rich people who are going, I don't know if I can trust my stockbroker anymore.
yeah.
There's going to be a lot of stockbrokers who are, I don't know if I can trust myself. So on. So I think the government will get involved to some level. Now, that's the big worry: is how much are they going to get involved with new regulations and so on and so forth. Not just to stabilize things and stay, so on and so forth, but also you have to know. Let's be real: rich people run everything,
Yeah.
and they're getting hurt right now. So they're writing to their pocket senators and congresspeople and so on and being like, you need to make sure this never happens again,
Well,
right?
it's like that article that I sent earlier today where it was like a bunch of senators who steal from the stock market
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
commit insider trading, now upset that poor people are also manipulating the stock market for
yeah.
gains. And I was like,
Let me see if I
yeah,
can
that
scroll
sounds
up and
about
find
right.
that. Yeah, I mean, basically, like, yeah, we make the money here. You're not supposed to get involved in here and do that, right?
So, Cody, what do you see as the ultimate end game? Just to wrap up, basically.
I mean, that's the thing is, it's really at the end of the day, I don't think this is going to continue to happen. Like I said, they have plans for other things like AMC and so forth, who are heavily shorted right now as well.
Yeah.
But this only really happened because it was such an insane over excessive greed to start with, on the part of people like Milton and so forth. As long as they don't be so fucking greedy, if that's possible for them, if they're a little less greedy and they don't make such crazy bets. Because I think the way I was explaining it to you guys the other night is like, the stock market itself is gambling,
Yep.
and then taking out a short on something is gambling on top of gambling, and then trying to force a short squeeze, which is what Reddit's trying to do, is basically gambling on top of gambling on top of gambling.
It's
So
all
like, yeah,
monopoly money, guys.
yeah, and I think that's the thing too, is if there's probably going to be regulations that come from this. There's going to be some people who get rich from this. They might be able to pull off smaller um, efforts with stuff like AMC and things like that, but the stock market and stockbrokers themselves are now going to be aware that this can happen, so they're going to
Yep.
be, hope in theory, a little bit more careful with things like that. Um, but I think what we've seen with statements like Biden's administration today, we've seen statements from people like Alexandria Ocasio Cortez getting involved, things like that. I think the biggest takeaway is that this has really shined a huge magnifying glass on the stock market and really highlighted what, honestly, people have been arguing for a long time on the left,
Yep.
that a certain somebody who's had a lot of power the last 4 years basically ran everything with the assumption that the stock market's health is the only thing that matters, and that the economy is great as long as the stock market is great. And I think this was really putting a magnifying glass, here's your sign moment type of thing, going, the stock market has nothing to fucking do with the economy.
Yeah.
Like, the real world value of GameStop is not 300-400 fucking dollars a stock. All right. There's no connection to reality here. This is only things that happen because the rules are made up. The money doesn't matter. You know, the stock market is just nonsense. And I think that's the kind of situation where we are going to pass some regulations, like people have posted, like anything was this like this. If you're really pissed off about market manipulation from Reddit today, let's talk about the fact people from Wall Street basically fucking blew up the economy in 2008 and nothing happened to them. If we're really going to get involved with market manipulation, it works
Yep.
both ways here. I think there does need to be action taken, and there does need to be a deep look at the stock market and how much it matters and how much it connects to the real economy. But it's hopefully, I think with the administration we have, I think it's a good chance that change will work for both parties and not just pissing on the middleman, the little guy, because there's not really, if you're really honest, there was nothing stopping another group of stockbrokers from doing this. You know, anyone could have done this. Anyone with enough money could have done this. So it was only basically because it's a good old boys club where we all get along and we don't hurt each other that nobody was doing it. That's why they
Yeah.
felt safe in making that insanely risky bet. Now it's kind of showing maybe we need to put some things in place, regulations in place, not just to stop people like you and me from being able to do it, but stop anyone from being able to so massively shake up the stock market in a matter of days
Yeah.
with funny money that has no real connection to anything. You know, it is dangerous. There's no doubt about it. Um, Not just for the rich. It's like as much as I want to be fuck the rich, fuck the powerful. This is fantastic. You know, agree with them for the most part. In the grand scheme of things, if the stock market loses if people lose their ability to feel confident in the stock market, they're going to pull their money. And then
Yeah.
that's how you lead to stock market collapse. That's how you lead to major recessions, depressions, things like that. That's the thing I think people like Biden and the SEC are so worried about right now is that, they don't really care about GameStop. They don't really
No.
care about these people getting rich off GameStop right now. They're worried about what this means for the future of the stock market as a whole and whether or not people will continue to invest. They need to do something to basically um, calm people down and be like, it's safe to invest, guys. You don't have to worry about a bunch of idiots from Reddit breaking everything every week, okay?
Yeah.
It's okay, type of situation. At the end of the day, like we said, it has shown that the stock market isn't really a perfect mirror of the economy itself. Clearly, this has shown that beautifully. Thankfully, we really have a great example to show this is fucking funny money, and the rules are made up. It's fucking. I think, like you said, it's monopoly. It really is. I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day, it is connected to real world values, and that money does have an impact, a very real impact. But things have gotten so crazy. I mean, when I was just starting to look into this, I was like, this just trying to wrap my head around all this was like, what the fuck is like? You can take loans out on stock you don't even actually own, and you
Nope.
can make bets against people that they're like, this stock's gonna be worth a price in the future, and then you talk about like futures and things like stocks themselves are complex enough and seemingly made up enough, and now we've created all these like compounding levels of just nonsensical financial craziness. I think that's the kind of stuff we really need to be looking into, going how like how badly are things out of control here? Like this shouldn't have happened. This shouldn't be possible. Is there other things like this that can happen? That type of situation.
Yeah.
But if nothing else, I'm really looking forward to hopefully some rich assholes not being rich anymore. I'm looking forward to I guess some analysts have seen Reddit itself doesn't have the power to do all of this. Reddit was just one faction that is
Yeah.
getting all of the attention. There was other rich people who saw this coming and they got involved too. They're very happy to let Wall Street take all of the blame or to let Reddit and Wall Street bets take all the blame for it, and so on and so forth. But you know, yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot where I was going there with that there at the end. But yeah, I hope to see some poor people get rich. I hope to see some rich people not be rich anymore. I really hope to see. I really hope we don't see any kind of crazy collapse. I extremely highly doubt that will. I hope GameStop comes out of this good. I mean, that's the thing. I would love
Yeah.
to be sitting there. I think okay. There was there was a meme I saw earlier. It was basically like um, in a month from now, 2 months from now, when you have a meeting of all the top 100 companies, and you're in GameStop's now sitting there worth like $10 trillion, and it was basically Big Bird sitting in a room like, you know, I would love to be a fly sitting in that boardroom right now. Like, because in the grand scheme
Yeah.
of things, unless they had stock and they sold it and they made money off of it, it doesn't really affect GameStop itself that much. That's why I was saying earlier, like, GameStop, I wanted to give a little bit of history of why it was GameStop and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, this could have been any stock whatsoever. GameStop itself has nothing to really do with it. And that's
Yeah.
part of what the problem is the fact that all this money is being thrown around that has absolutely no connection whatsoever to real world value. That's where you start getting into, oh, this is market manipulation. Because in theory, whenever you make a trade or you buy a stock, the SEC wants to see that there is some kind of real world reason for why you did that.
Yep.
And you weren't trying to just play the numbers. Now, of course, we know most of the time they're doing it, they're just doing it to play the numbers. And hopefully, with that new magnifying glass on everything, that's one of the things I'd like them to see too, is being like, hey, everybody needs to calm the fuck down and start acting like this is real finally, you know? So,
And on the note of calming the fuck down, we're gonna wrap it up down.
yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
I
Uh,
just want to
so
say, on an exit note, basically, if you're thinking about investing money at this point, I probably wouldn't,
nope.
unless you're, if you've got a couple, if it's, again, same thing I said earlier, Dave said earlier, if you want to do it just for be part of the ride, and you don't care about losing that money, fuck it, go ahead. Like, but don't expect that you're going to get rich just because other people have at this point.
Nope.
You're already kind of late in the game, and like I said, when the dam breaks, it's going to fucking tumble really quick. So, there's going to be a lot of people who do end up losing a lot of money, just as much as there's going to be a lot of people who end up getting really rich from it too. So, that situation, I think if you want to invest in something, invest in memes, because this has been fucking amazing for memes. If you want to have a good laugh, go on Twitter and look up like GME and look at all the craziness happening there. Go on Reddit and look at all the stuff going on Wall Street Bets. Just like how this all started. Go into it looking at it as an excuse to have a good time and have a laugh, because that you can get for free, and there's tons of that around for everybody.
And you know what else you can get for free? This podcast.
Exactly.
So,
Boom. That was a good transition. I like that. I like that.
if you
You
want to
don't have
have.
to buy any stocks here.
Nope.
Our stocks are totally free.
We can talk about stonks for free on the internet, and you can follow us at Pixel Clicks Podcast on Twitch, on
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, and Cody, you want to give them your socials?
It's basically I think it's underscore SHANDOD underscore on pretty much everything at this point, I believe. Shandod, basically. So
Yeah.
yeah, you can find that everywhere. We're going to, if we continue doing this, we're gonna have some official fancy
Gonna
stuff to
have
come up on
some
screen right now and show all our information
banners,
and so on.
the socials.
Yeah, I do. If anyone who is still listening at this point or watching, I appreciate you guys, because, like I said, this was totally a pretty much last
Last
minute
minute.
thing. I think yesterday I made a joke. I was like, I've always wanted to do a podcast where I just fucking yell about random shit.
Yep.
And then Jim was like, fuck it, we'll do it live. We'll do it. I woke up this morning and they're like, they already have a title for it and everything. I'm like, apparently I have a podcast today. Okay. So I'm for it.
Hey,
So yes,
something to do.
there's a reason why it was a little bit scatterbrained on my part. There's a reason why this all isn't exactly 100%. I want to give massive credit though to Jordan and Shane for having such a short amount of time making this work as well as it did. Big thank you to you guys,
Thank you.
because
And
this was literally out of thin air. So
if you guys want more chatting with Cody, we will hopefully be doing this every Wednesday.
I think I think that's the game plan. Basically, keep it under an hour, which is why we're wrapping it up, because we're getting pretty close.
Getting there.
And I'm just gonna be kind of doing my Andy Rooney. I hate it when these kids out here playing the Pokemons and these damn video games and so
And
on.
don't
That turned into
worry,
more.
it's not
That
always going
wasn't
to be
Andy Rooney. That was
politics.
Bill Cosby. Why did my Andy Rooney turn into Bill Cosby? What the Pokemons? Rah rah rah. Like, well, no. I'm
Gel
just gonna be
pops?
basically ranting about video games, technology, TV, politics. That's gonna be the fun one because I'm sure we're gonna get a bunch of trolls who show up, and I can't wait for that. Because if you don't know me, I'm very left wing, so this will be, get that popcorn out because I'm sure people are gonna be like, "What? You can't do that. You can't talk about that
And
stuff.
I've
That's
also
not
got
Trump
my
2020,
banhammer ready, just for that.
right?" So, yeah, I'll just be ranting about something different every week in the future in a much more structured manner. I
Yeah.
tried to stick to that who, what, where, when, why thing. It definitely got off the rails at that point, but we did our best and we got through it in one piece. So
Did.
that's something.
That
We'll
is
take credit
something.
for that. So,
Alright, everybody have a good night, and we will
yeah,
see you next time.
y'all come back now.